cars are lined up on the grid. The iRace.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn one for the first time.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval. And that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building two tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
Round number 2 of the iRace.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. These drivers head down under to Phillip Island, and qualifying has just gotten itself underway. Once again, the world's best iRacers are going to do battle here in the iRace.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, the premiere of all of open wheel sim racing competitions. If you're a new member to iRacing, head over to iRacing right now. Get yourself 3 months for only $12, including all the free content, as well as the full GT, including the GT2 and GT3 bundle. Use the promo code that you see on your screen. There you can see then the first lot of qualifying times on the board, and it's currently Hugo Louise setting the opening pace here. Qualifying time of 1 minute 5.802, 9 minutes remaining in qualifying. Once again, we've got ourselves 2 splits, and your top 2 drivers have now just got themselves onto pit road. You can see there Martin Kroenke, he's going slowly. He's about to stop his car at the side of the racetrack. But Mitchell de Jong right now is working himself towards the start-finish line. Let's see what he can do then. In that number 26 Ferrari car in the SimSport car, he is going to be up into 3rd place for the time being. So it's currently Louise from Hutu from Benito, who just goes up to 4th, and then it's de Jong. As you can see there, Tommaso Carla and Movano Frostmaster X-Team car currently working himself onto the end of his 3rd lap. He will start no higher then 6th place in this race. We've got a couple of people on the track. One of those is Richard Avery, right along board of him as he works himself up the hill down towards the back end of the racetrack, but it is still Louise leading away from Hutu, Benito, De Jong and Cronco. They are your top 5. Abe's moved up into 2nd place as we have a look then on board of Richard Avery down towards the final corner. He will come. Will he be able to improve? He's currently scored in 11th place in qualifying, working himself towards the start finish line, and it's going to be a qualifying time of 106.232, and he's currently classified as 11th place on the standing charts as Christian Tanahote works himself up 1 position into P number 17, and Andre Borcher currently working himself on a lap in that number 7 Coanda Simsport machine. Worthington along with Rachel Whiteford, and Rachel, we come down to the land down under where we've got ourselves again the world's best iRacers attempting to do battle.
We do indeed. Well, good morning, and it's going to be an exciting race judging by the qualifying times on the board so far. Hugo Lois, one of our former champions, pipping, well, multiple champion Gregor Hutu to the pole position at this time, but we know it's not quite over yet. Good showing from Enzo Benito and Mitchell de Jong. Some cars down the order as we see Andre Borcher set at 106.044. That brings him up to 6th place at the moment. Well, Sebastian Job and Alex Simpson having a better run today.
Yeah, and it's interesting to note that Gregor Hutu is doing a lot better than what he does normally in qualifications. As there you can see, Alexei Usiakola is now working himself onto a lap. This is down back end of the racetrack. This is turn number 5 in that Team Red Line OKO Fanatic machine, working himself into the 2nd of those 2 hairpins that lead one after the other, and he loops the car around there. This is not the Alexei Usiakola we're used to seeing. Oli Picala is on the racetrack as well. Now, Picala is working himself up towards a lap, but that's not what we're used to seeing by Alexei Usiakola at all.
It's not, and this track is very, very difficult in downforce open wheel cars. Well, initial sector's fine. The 2 hairpins very slow in very low gear, so real chance of lighting those rear tyres as you come out of those corners. You want the maximum drive off, but you need to keep the car under control. 3rd sector though, with the dip and the right-hander though, is possibly the worst corner on this track. We'll definitely see some conflict there today, but Mitchell, Alexei Usiakola losing it out of the 2nd one. It has a slightly tighter exit and it's slightly faster in, so probably one of the tricky ones to get right in qualifying.
Yeah, we're getting ourselves a couple of replays of that there. You can see out of the 2nd hairpin, the back end of the car just looping itself around. That is not the Alexei Usiakola that we know in any way, shape or form. But he's still got time to get a lap in before qualifying will be scored complete, as we currently have ourselves the driver of Ali Picala up into 5th place there. So there you can see he is currently scored as about 2 tenths of a second behind pole position, but he works himself now. Just a couple of laps to go on his 2nd qualifying lap. 2 corners left to go. Left-hander is flat out from the way here. You can see a little bit of oversteer, centre of the apex, and he's going to bring his car onto pit road. So Oli Picala will likely not start any higher up than 5th place in this race here today. But here you can see Alexei Usiakola were looking for something a little bit special for this driver now, as he's currently scored dead last in qualifying. Here you can see he's going to work himself towards the back end of the racetrack once again, and here you can see then that run on board with Alexei Usiakola, and this is down actually the same corner he had that incident a little bit earlier on, Rachel.
It is indeed, and no sort of fear there of stopping him from taking that corner as fast as he can. Will he gets through there really nicely, good drive off, and coming through the following sequence here we have the left, long sweeping climbing left hand corner, dropping way down to that really tight low right-hander. Lots of runoff there, doesn't use much of it. Gets a good compromise line through that 2nd last corner, right onto those rumble strips, and he will get through. Final corner, looking for a good time here. This will definitely be a 6, hopefully a 5. Let's see what time he can put down.
Yep, so it's going to be a 105.726, and that is all the way to the top of the timing standings for Alexei Usiakola. So, for ages, he was at the very back of the grid, but Alexei Usiakola from nowhere, Rachel, gets what is likely to be his 2nd pole position of the season. Now, here's the thing. Hugo Louise has got the opportunity to respond. There's 4 minutes and 23 seconds remaining in qualifications. There's a lot that can go on here, and some of these drivers have only done 1 lap. Yakola has done them all. There's nothing else he can do now, but Louise, 6/100ths of a second back, he has got that chance to respond in the last 4 minutes of this session.
Absolutely, and most of the front five have got it all done. Mitchell de Jong has done it. Ollie Picala, I believe, has also only done 1 lap. Martin Kroenke himself has done 2. But of our front group, Hugo Luis, Gregor Hutu, Enzo Benito, and Mitchell de Jong, Enzo Benito, Hutu, and Luis have only done 1 lap. They're playing the waiting game to see exactly what they need to beat. Right now, the man out there with the target on his back is UC Cola.
Yeah, though we get a look high above at the beautiful Albert Park, that's wrong track, Phillip Island circuit here. Aerial coverage today is brought to you by And1 Designs. We'll hopefully get a word with Hugo Luis in a couple of moments' time. 3 minutes remaining in qualifications. As you can see there, a look at the back end of the racetrack. So apparently Hugo Luis will not be able to do another lap. So it is qualifying all done there for Hugo Luis. The start-finish line is actually after the pit crew, so he's only had the chance to do 1 hot lap. So there we can see, we'll zoom in and have a look at that car of Hugo Luis. He will not actually be going back out onto the racetrack, and there you can have a look at the car of Martin Kroenke for Commander Sim Sports. He will be starting this race a lot further down, Rachel, than what he used to, all the way down in P number 7.
Will be, and that's going to be a big problem for him. Well, we don't know what this is going to do when it combine the 2 splits, of course, but Alexei Usikole looking firm for his second pole. Hugo Luis, another front row start, but of course here, that will give him an advantage in the first sector if he can get the drive on Usikole.
Yep, so then all of the drivers have completed their laps as far as things go. Let's have a look then at what is your provisional starting grid for today's event. It will be Alexei Usikole, 2 pole positions in 2 races for Team Redline as he's starting to assert himself as the top of one of the world's most successful sim racing organisations. Hugo Luis for Commander Sim Sport, he will be in second place, 6 100ths of a second back. Now don't forget, Luis had a good qualifying at Interlagos, but fell back in the order during the race. Four-time champion Gregor Hutu, P number 3 for Team Redline, just over 1/10 of a second behind his Finnish teammate, with Enzo Benito rounding out your top 4 on the outside of row number 2, also for Team Redline. Mitchell de Jong for Commander Sim Sport in 5th, and Ollie Picala in 6th for Team Redline, and then it's Martin Kroenke and Patrick Holtzman there. As you can have a look back in row number 4, and back to row 5, it's Andre Borcher and Tommaso Carla. Yuhu Abe in 11th position and Mo Garfilo in the 12th position. And then it'll be Sebastian Job, Alex Simpson, Richard Avery, Antoine Hegelin, Jake Sturgis, Isaac Price, Paul Elbrink and Ilka Hapana rounding out your field here today. Well, we've got, of course, another split. We'll combine those all in just a couple of moments' time, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll let you know your full starting grid for this, the second round, the 2015 iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We'd like to welcome all the viewers on iRacing Live as well as here on RaceSpotTV to our coverage. Don't forget, we'll be with you all season long. We're going to step aside for just one moment, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to show you some highlights of the second round of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, which of course you can see on iRacing Live, Fans Choice TV, MRN, the Motorsports Network, and our good friends over at PSR TV. We will be back in just a couple of moments' time.
Pace car about to duck off here, and Chad Lawton is about to take the green flag in round number 2.
The 10 and 36 still side by side. Michael Connie, Justin Bolton, and it's going to be Corey Vincent in the middle of that mix. Now it's going to be, looks like the 36 trying to get the advantage down low.
Meanwhile, up in front, top 2 have broken away, and Justin Bolton is trying to pick away at that lead.
And Ottinger, if he wants to make a statement that he is a contender again for a championship, this is the night he's got to do it.
The new leader up in front, it's going to be Kenny Humpy, go to the lead position over Chad Lawton. Leader on pit road, it's Kenny Humpy making his way down 1 lap after the 26 of Chad Lawton, the 36 of Justin Bolton coming down into pit road. As
Caution, Tim! Wow! Sorry there, but holy cow, this just changed everything. And David Rattler, the driver who had problems early off turn 4, once again has the exact same problem occur. He'd already been to pit road with an unscheduled stop with the 09 of David Rattler. Around here on the front straightaway, he makes contact with the outside safety barrier, and that has left Nick Ottinger at the front of the field.
50 laps to go. These drivers are going to probably have to stretch it if this thing remains green the rest of the way. The best overhead doors, number 58 of Kenny Humpy coming down pit road.
The crew flawless otherwise, but Humpy and that mistake coming in pit road is going to cost him the lead. Crabtree is going to emerge the victor off pit road. This is what it's all about, Tim. Simply put, now we'll look at Ottinger and Humpy. Ottinger running defensively, Humpy following every bit in his tire tracks.
Side by side going into turns 3 and 4. Humpy's got the advantage, but Ottinger's not going to
he got into him!
Ottinger gets into the 58, turns right into him, and that ends Ottinger's run.
Let's see what happens with the pace car if Race Control decides to go ahead and call it a shootout here as we come down to complete lap 165. 2 laps to go at the stripe. They would have to go 1 to go this time. Survey says yes. It is a 1.5 mile dash, a single trip around Las Vegas to settle the second NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race of the season.
Pace car is in. Kenny Humpy and Michael Conti. Conti on the outside trying to play some games here. Humpy laying back. Here comes the green flag as we are...
Oh, they're crashing, Tim!
And there's the caution. He did not take the white.
Did not take the white, took the caution. Tyler Hill, the 9, was the car that got punted into the outside wall. He was on the outside lane that got backed up by Mike Conti's attempted jump, and that has stacked them all up and sealed Kenny Humpy's fate, Joe, as the winner here in Las Vegas.
Kenny Humpy will go to victory lane for his first victory at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Checkered flag in the wind here, and Humpy will join Jake Sturgis, Marcus Lindsay, Brad Davies, and Sandeep Banerjee as winners in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
A thrilling end then to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series race from Las Vegas and Motor Speedway. And don't forget, you can catch that series all season long on iRacing Live, on PSR TV, also on MRN, the Motorsports Network, and on Fans Choice TV. And what a thrilling end then we had to that event. Welcome back though to coverage of the second round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, which lives on RaceSpotTV and iRacing Live all season long. Time to get a look then at the pole lap from Alexei Yakola. Now, before we actually roll the tape on this one, Rachel, we saw Yakola have his spin down on the exit of turn number 6, Siberia corner, and then from nowhere, after that, he goes out and blitzes qualifying.
Yeah, he does, and as a driver, you tend to have a bit of a niggle at the back of your mind, Will, when you're doing a lap and, of course, you've spun the car in one corner. You tend to baby a little bit in that corner. You tend to be a little bit more protective. You're concerned that, you know, it might happen again. And he's gone out. He's obviously given it full that time, and he's spun the car. He comes around in his second lap. It's his last shot. No fear, no concern. He takes the corner exactly as he has every other time before. This time it sticks. That level of dedication is why these guys are in the Pro Series. They just go for it. He put everything together, and that was one hell of a lap. As his last-ditch effort and as a recovery, Yakola, he's earned that pole in that one lap alone.
So let's get a look then, ladies and gentlemen, on board with Alexei Yakola, your pole position driver for this, the second round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. Here you can see him then, down Gardner Straight, down into Duhan Corner, turn 1. You are flat out through this 90-degree right-hander before you come down into the southern loop. It is just like a carousel, 180-degree left-hander through turn number 2. Be careful on corner exit. Try to use a little bit like curb. You don't have to if you're Yakola. Hold the inside line down Stoner Corner, turn number 3. flat out through there. Brake as late as you can. Down into turn 4. Honda corner. Now it's a short run through turn number 5. That right-hand kink before you come down into 6. Siberia. Got to be very careful on power. This is where Yakola spun on his first lap. Now you're working yourself into the sweeping section of turn number 7 and 8 as you head yourself into Lukey Heights, turn number 9. This 180-degree left-hand corner as you go up the brow of the hill, then back down it again into turn 10, the tightest corner on the racetrack. From here, you're pretty much flat out. Left-hander for turn number 11, and then another left-hander for turn number 12. Flat out all the way through turn number 12, and then that is one lap for Alexei Yakola, which puts him on pole position, a qualifying time of 1 minute 5.743. And Rachel, incredible lap by him. But one other driver who I'm impressed by here today is that one of, surprisingly enough, Gregor Hutu, because we've not seen him perform in qualifying for quite a while. Yet today, he came out and he was on fire.
Yeah, I think the team obviously had a chat with him. They've realised his biggest problem has been he's been getting bored in qualifying. He said it himself. He doesn't feel the same challenge doing a time trial, which is what qualifying is. And it's put him in the middle of the top 10, towards the end of the top 10 in the last bunch of races we've had. And that's hurt him. Either it's been involving in accidents in the final races of last season, or this time around he's just been mired in traffic. He can't run away. Now, he's obviously had to change his attitude. He's gone for it, and he's got a really good time this race round. So, expecting a better performance from him, he will be a lot closer to that front.
Yeah, would like to give a couple of shout-outs. First of all, to Director of Competition, iRacing's Shannon Whitmore, at Shannon Whitmore. So, Saturday morning with some fine English tea and the hashtag iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series on iRacing, which, surprisingly enough, you can watch it here. And also on RaceSpotTV. That's surprising. Shout out also to Virgil Racing and to the Orion Race Team as well. Orion Race Team saying, Race Day! They've got themselves a pretty interesting team insight as well. If you use the hashtag iRacingWCS and use also the Twitter handle at RaceSpotTV, get in contact with us over the course of this race. Now, Orion is one of those teams that they say that they usually like this track, but last year, of course, didn't go well for them. And Rachel, this is always a bit of a hit and miss track for drivers. In the early years of the seasons, it used to be a very strong Commander SimSport track. It used to be that Redline have finally nailed this track. It's taken to get there, but this track is very hard, and actually, if you can master this track, you can master pretty much anything in the series, because it's so high speed here.
It is. It's high speed, it's also low speed. You've got that combination of fast sweeping corners, and you've also got the really slow technical ones. The car's got to have good mechanical grip, as well as its aero grip well. So, real balance to the drivers. Tough twisting is very short. There's not much time for the drivers to relax on long straightaways. We don't have the start-finish straight or the second straight at somewhere like Interlagos, so the mind is constantly focusing. It's very tough on the driver's mind. Traffic will be a big factor here. Short lap, expect a lot of lap traffic.
Yeah, lap traffic will be a key factor here today. And of course, Rachel, one of the differences between this and regular iRacing series is that blue flags are in operation. So that means that when you are going a lap down, you might still be embroiled in your battle. That blue flag will come out. Race control will say, you've got to let the leaders go past. That can really frustrate drivers who might be running in P15, P16, down the pack, still having their own battles. But for them, it's almost as frustrating as the lead lap drivers trying to carve their way through.
It really can be, and with this being such a short lap, we'll have a lot of those battles going on with the lap down cars. So it's going to be really, really frustrating for them having to get out of the way, but they also know their competition will as well. So opportunities when the leaders come through to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and also we're going to get ourselves a quick look then at some of the statistics for today's event. This is brought to you by Coanda SimSports, one of the official partners of RaceSpotTV. So we just have a look on board then with the driver of Mitchell de Jong. Our RaceSpotTV Super Slow-Mo replays as he works himself up the hill. Now, this is going to be a track, Rachel, that we are likely to see two-stop strategies, although one or two drivers might consider doing a one-stop. Now, one-stoppers will pit from about lap 33 onwards. The drivers on two-stoppers, well, they'll pit whenever they want to. More realistically, between laps on 23 and then also on lap number 45. A one-stopper is feasible here, but we saw it into Lagos. Most of these drivers are trying not to be too risky on strategy. They'll go a couple of laps longer than their competition, but what they're worried about is being hung out to dry. And if you go back through history, Max DeLorco at this racetrack a couple of years ago just had himself a phenomenal race, carving through the field on an alternate strategy, but it's all for naught for him.
It can be, and of course we saw last week strategies changed. Drivers at the moment being quite conservative, they want, and the teams want them, to get good points in the bank early on and have a good baseline. Once they've got that, we'll start to see more people taking those risks once those extra points become so much more valuable. Right now, it's just a matter of getting a solid working point. Once you have that, we will really see things get exciting. I suspect the two-stop will be the predominant strategy today.
Yeah, and coming into the event, ladies and gentlemen, championship standings, unfortunately, doesn't seem to be working properly, but Alexei Usiakola is leading the way in the championship right now with 50 points, of course, winning first time out at Interlagos. It's a wonderful season we have for you in the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. And don't forget, for all the latest news and information, head over to wcs.iracing.com for all the latest news and stats and interviews. And don't forget, facebook.com/RaceSpotTV, your official home of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series on Twitter as well. Now, Rachel, before we talk about winners here today, I want to talk very quickly about momentum. After this race, we go to 3 very different tracks. In 2 weeks' time, we've got Sebring. 2 weeks after that, we've got ourselves Road America. And then we've got Monza 2 weeks after that. 3 very, very, very different racetracks. Sebring, it's fast, it's bumpy, it's a setup track. Road America, it's a driver's track, but it's one which is very stop and start. And then Monza, well, that's all going to be about speed. And if you win here today, if you're Yakola, then you've kind of got yourself a buffer as we head into what I think is going to be 6 very difficult races with 6 very unique racetracks.
I agree, but I also think the next 3 races will build up to each other. Sebring, it's a lot shorter in terms of the straights, but it's got a road course feel, a street course feel. It's got a lot of twisty, tight corners, and it's very bumpy. Road America, you've got longer straights, a lot more drafting, but you've also got those slow right-angle corners. And that kind of translates now. You've built up from the slow corners, short track with twisty corners, long track with twisty corners and tight corners, to a very long track, very high speed track, low downforce track. Probably the first time we'll see real low downforce packages coming from these teams. But most importantly, apart from 2 chicanes, it's incredibly fast and nothing like anything we've done before. I can't wait to see these guys taking Ascari, the Lesmos, and, well, Parabolica. This is going to be one hell of a race at Monza.
Yeah, indeed so. As, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ourselves up to the top of the hour. We'll show you a couple of videos in just one moment's time. If you have completely missed this storm and forgotten everything about Monza, it is probably one of the most favourite, most wanted tracks in iRacing history. And of course, we've got ourselves another one coming in possibly 9 months' time, which is the Nordschleife. But for now, Monza, yes, you can even run it on the oval if you want to. And I know a lot of drivers, both oval racers and road racers, GT3 racers, having some incredible fun around there. But Rachel, who's your pick for today?
Oh, I think I need to really look at Alexei Usiakola. Well, he's been flying. He had a great run at Interlagos. And these tracks do share a lot of similarity. The infield sector at Interlagos, very much like Phillip Island. It's changing elevations, it's stop-start, it's tight corners. But we also know he's fast in the straight lines, so I think he's got to be one of the favourites. I think Gregor Hutu's starting close to the front. He will not want to be Redline's second fiddle in this race. I think he could well be a factor. Hugo Luis, though, for Coanda. Good run last time, but not sure he'll get there. I think it's going to be Gregor.
Yep. But, of course, Gregor Hutu, this race last year, it was round 5 of the championship. He began his run of 7 wins in a row. And that's a thought to end this segment on. And head ourselves over to race coverage, ladies and gentlemen, because that will start in just a couple of moments' time. You're watching RaceSpotTV, the official home of some of the world's biggest sim racing events, including the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, the iRacing.com Endurance Series, and the 2015 iRacing.com Indianapolis 500. We will see you in just a couple of moments after these short messages. You're watching RaceSpotTV. We'll be back.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Cars are lined up on the grid. The RaceSpotTV World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn one for the first time. Two weeks ago, we started the sixth season of the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series, where Alexei Usiakola established himself as one of the top drivers in the world, leading Team Redline's charge to the checkered flag, claiming his second win in WCS competition. Today, he starts once again on pole position, but Hugo Louise, starting in that second place alongside him, is going to hope that second place translates into something just a little bit better than what he had 2 weeks ago at Interlagos. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning in certain parts of the world, and good evening in others, as we welcome you down under to Phillip Island for the second round of the RaceSpotTV World Championship Grand Prix Series. Drivers here today are at one of the most picturesque racetracks in the world, as we have a look at our aerial coverage today, brought to you by And1 Design. As you can just see there, a look at the sea line, just literally meters away from the edge of the racetrack. Now, qualifying took place about half an hour ago, and here's a look then at your official starting grid for the second round of the championship. And it is going to be Alexei Usiakola starting on pole position. The gap between himself and Hugo Louise is 6/10 of a second, sorry, 6/100ths of a second. And then Gregor Hutu in third and Enzo Benito in the fourth position. We'll cycle that grid along your screens for you. Will Vincent along with Rachel Whiteford. And Rachel, points from qualifying that we can take the biggest note of. Yakola, still very strong. Louise, again, strong in qualifying, but Hutu right back up there after what has been about 7 races that he's not really qualified very well at.
Exactly, and he's doing much, much better for this race, Will. So it's really impressive to see that improvement. It's been a very tough season for him, and he's really put it off to a good start for this 2015 season. So I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot from him this season, but of course that means that he's going to be upstaging Gregor Hutu, who we know is very strong. Will it last? Will team orders come into play? I don't know.
Well, there's a look then at the back end of your grid, and making it just into the field was Frank Levesque IV for Friction Racing. As, well, we've got ourselves just a little bit of time, 2 minutes 30 seconds before we head ourselves down to the starting grid. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is a look at the driver of, we take that back, Miguel Martin there in the Radicals Online car, currently working himself on a couple of practice laps. Most of these drivers, in just 1 moment's time, will head themselves down onto pit roads, get themselves a last minute pit stop. And we see it always, Rachel, that pit stops are important, but the way the field is this close, I think pit stops will be critical here today. And one little slip up on pit road, well, it's going to be game over for you as far as this race is concerned.
Yeah, certainly. A very tough pit entrance here, actually, at Phillip Island, Will. It's difficult to get onto with a lot of speed. It will be very important to get that right. Not quite as fast as Interlagos, the pit exit though, less complex, and hopefully less incident there.
Yeah, and just having a look, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, at the drivers who missed the cut in qualifying. We'll find that one out for you in just literally 20 seconds time. As they can see, a look then at Gregor Hutu. He is currently on pit road. We've still got a couple of other people on the racetrack. For example, Richard Avery there in that number 44 machine, working himself onto the middle part of a lap actually. And they say the drivers who missed out in qualifying, because I know some of the drivers are going to be disappointed. Marcus Caton, Christian Lorente, Michelle Mancusi, Tomo Meglek, Ruka Alataulo, Justin Lindsay, Samuel Clark, Emil Henriksen and David Heisey. Now Rachel, that's 2 races that Clark hasn't qualified for, but Ruka Alataulo out and doesn't get into this race, I think is our biggest shock of the day.
Exactly, and Alataulo is a very fast driver, always a factor here, and that would be really, really big hit to his points, and unfortunate, he could well just be too hungover to race, or still drunk, one of the two.
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, we'll get live timing and scoring up as soon as the race starts. All you need to do is head over to RaceSpot.TV/timing to experience that all race long. There you can see that a look at a very busy pit road right now as the drivers are just coming in, getting themselves final preparations now. Rachel, it's going to be a very, very tough race here today. You said Yakola and Hutu and Louise are all going to be in the mix. Do you think, though, that if Yakola wins, he's sealed himself, for the time being at least, as Redline's top driver?
I think he might, although as we know, it takes a while for Hutu to warm up. He'll always be Redline's top driver, but I think Alexei might get some preference if he starts to keep getting wins under his belt, Will.
Yep, so we'd like to welcome the viewers around the world here on iRacing Live and also on RaceSpotTV. If you're a new member to iRacing, head over right now. Get yourselves 3 months worth of iRacing for just $12, including all the free content. The Ford GT, GT2 and GT3 models. Use the promo code that you see up on your screen. For more information about the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, head over to wcs.iracing.com for all the latest news, interviews and team information as the drivers are now sat on the starting grid, getting ready actually for the second round of the World Championship Grand Prix Series, the most competitive, fastest and best of all of open wheel sim racing series. So there is a look, ladies and gentlemen, at your front row of the grid. There you can see Alexei Usiakola on that front row. It'll be Hugo Louise alongside him, and then Gregor Hutu on the third position. Enzo Benito and De Jong rounding out your top 5. Those engines now starting to rev. The second round of the championship for 69 laps will start right now. Great start there by Yakola, a much better start from Louise than what he had in the first round of the championship, but you got Hutu down to the inside there of Louise. They come down in towards turn 1 for the first time. It looks as though that Hutu will get himself up into P number 2. Storming start by him there, behind De Jong up in position as well. As you can see, he's up into 4th place already, Rachel, challenging that driver of Hugo Louise, battle for P number 3 on the racetrack.
Yes, he is. Well, we're 2 and 3 wide throughout this field. This is really exciting start here. Amazing launch there from Gregor Hutu in the number 1 machine. He just outclassed Luis on the start. What a drive from him. This is more like the Hutu we know, and this was amazing. He's really had a good one there. He could be in a chance now to prove he has what it takes to retain that top driver name at Redline. Further back in the field, though, still 2 wide throughout this thing. We have Richard Avery alongside Marty Piatella. Guys kicking up dust. This is getting wild early.
Yeah, there you can see a look then from the rear of that number 6 throughout the Coanda Simsport machine of Hugo Louise. But as they cross the start finish line for the first time, it will be Alexei Usiakola leading the way from Gregor Hutu. The gap between those 2 drivers is going to be just over 2/3 of a second as they come down to start lap number 2 here. And further back, you've got yourself Luis, De Jong, Benito, Cronke, Bootslip. Good start by him, and he's right now working himself side by side along with Oli Picard by the looks of it, and behind 2 Wide Racing as well for turn number 1, Rachel, between Tommaso Carter
big
and
fight.
Andre
We have a big incident. Big incident in turn 2, Will. I'm going to find out information for you for that one, but I believe Jake Sturgis could have been involved.
Yeah, David Corp's involved in that one. We've got ourselves a couple of other drivers as well. We're having a look then on board with David Corp. This is down into turn number 1. Running along board with
Robin
him.
Fiscops.
And he can see he turns actually around Alex Simpson to start with. Then he gets another bump from behind there as well to Simpson. We're not quite sure, Rachel, if he's got any damage, but we had no first lap incident, but then after that, we had ourselves a big one on lap number 2, coming through that ultra fast 90-degree left-hander for turn number 1.
We did. It was that Orion racing car of Robin Friscops tapping the back of Alex Simpson, Will. He turned him around there, going through turn 2, just got underneath him, pulled a Rosberg, and that sent Simpson sideways. Simpson might have recovered it a little bit. He's had to take it to the grass. Could be okay there, but we know Friscops has certainly been hit by at least 2 cars. His race will be over. Exciting second lap here.
Yeah, as they can see, a look at our Super Slow-Mo replay brought to you by And1 Design here today. Out front, though, ladies and gentlemen, we go back to live action. We've got ourselves a little bit of a battling going on. This is Jorni Tamala right now. He's having a battle with Mogar Filos to head themselves down into turn number 4. You can see side by side Tamala and the INX racing car trying to go round the outside now here. Off the inside line to the next corner. He will not be able, though, to stay side by side. He gets the inside line anyway, though, into turn number 6. And you can see, though, good run on the exit of the corner by Mogar Filos. They head themselves up the hill once again. They stay side by side, and great racing by these 2, but it looks as though that Tamala will have to stay in line for the time being, as Philo able to hold on to P number 11 on the racetrack. But the good thing is for Alexei Usiakola, he's doing what he did at Interlagos, Rachel. That gap already over 1 second.
It is indeed, and a great run there from Usiakola, but Hutu, he's not giving up yet. Luis has dropped back a little bit, but I tell you what, Martin Cronke has come up so far.
Yeah, and also one driver who is moving forward in a hurry is Mitchell de Jong. He's now in that 4th position right now, up 1 place from where he started and hounding onto the rear of that driver of Hugo Luis. Now, we know last time out that Luis was slow starting, and also they can see Martin Cronke in the 6th position right now, running on board of him, and there is a train forming right now. As we saw at Interlagos 2 weeks ago, Rachel, it's Hugo Luis playing the role of Yana Trulli.
He is indeed. He's sitting there following along, and he will soon be, of course, possibly moving over as Mitchell de Jong catches up to the back of him, Will. But this has really not been his start of the season. He's just got great qualifying. Struggles in that early part of the race.
Yeah, having a look down through the field there, you can see Miguel Martin placing a little bit of a charge right now onto the rear of Jorni Tamala. This is a battle down in P number 18 and P number 19 as they work themselves up the hill. This is down the exit now of turn number 10. Running on board then with that driver of Miguel Martin for the Radicals Online organisation out the final corner they come. And actually, we've got ourselves Tamala heading themselves onto pit road very early. So potentially some damage there to Jorni Tamala. And here you can see a look at him coming onto pit road, Rachel. Now this is going to completely ruin his day in that number 17 INX racing car. Out front though, de Jong is still handling to the back of Louise. And you've got to ask that question, whether or not Kalina Simsport are going to have to play this one a little bit tactically here.
Oh, I think there's no doubt they will play it tactically. With the speed that de Jong is catching Luis, I think he'll be going through pretty soon. I think that'll be more Luis's decision than anything else. He knows his team is faster, and if he can catch Hutu, he can bring him back to Luis, and they can definitely bring a team advantage to that one. But right now, Luis is possibly playing a longer game here. We think, looking at the speeds though, other cars might be playing different strategies, so it could be an early indicator. Things may change later on.
Yeah, we've had a couple of pit stops in the early going, ladies and gentlemen. Here is Yorni Tamala, a 10.8 second stop for him. And Yunus Nakurian as well, making a 24.6 second stop in the early going. So not a good day for Nakurian in that Radicals Online car. Now, a couple of people came into this race with penalties. Patrick Holtzman was one of those drivers. He had a drive-through penalty for an incident the first lap, of course, at Interlagos. Thomas Stern as well was also issued with a penalty, but is taking no action in today's event. So that will be applied the next time he takes part in a race. Now, last time by De Jong filling off in the rear of Louise a little bit. The interesting thing is, though, down in the pack, Rachel, Tommaso Carla having a battle right now with Andre Borcha, and then also we've got ourselves a scrap going on. Yuhu Abe battling it out as we've got side-by-side as well between Sebastian Job and Robin Friscops.
Yep, Sebastian Job having a good run at the moment. Will, he's trying to take that part round. Well, he's defending the inside quite aggressively, actually, from the Inex Racing car. Holding a good line there. It's not really blocking. He is just taking the inside line into the corner and out. It just makes Friscops have to go around the outside. So good tactical driving there from Joe, but he will be costing himself time. And possibly frustrating Friscops, which can make a, shall we say, risky move come?
Yeah, potentially. So you can see there, look again at Friscops out of the final corner. We go back on board with him. You can see that defensive line again being taken by Sebastian Job as they head themselves down into turn one. Look at the overspeed though for Robin Friscops down into that first corner, almost running into the rear there. Sebastian Job, he has the inside line down into turn number two. He makes that pass complete there down on the exit of that second corner. Move Robin Friscops up into P number 14 on the racetrack. But the thing that got me there, Rachel, was the overspeed for Friscops since Job is coming back as they head themselves too wide once again into Honda corner. Turn four and Friscops gets sideways.
Yeah, just locked that car's brakes up and he locked the front wheel. That's got the back end a bit lively there, Will. That made it just very easy there for Job to drive around the outside. Had enough room there to not get caught.
Yep, so we'll get ourselves a replay of that one then, of Robin Friscops in that Inex Racing number 19 car heading themselves down into the corner. You can see inside line, just gets himself snap oversteer on the white line, forcing him to lose that position he worked so hard to gain there over Sebastian Job. Battle for P number 14 and P number 15. Back out front though, here is a look on board with Hugo Louise down in towards turn number one. Now the interesting thing is, Rachel, is that he is already 2.5 seconds behind Alexei Usiakola. The gap from P1 to P2, 1.4 seconds. Gap from P2 to P3 now up to 1.4 seconds. It seems to be though that De Jong has started to fall off the rear of Hugo Louise just a little bit, and maybe Louise just had a couple of extra laps on fuel at the start of this race. Now he's got those tyres up to temperature. He is matching De Jong for pace, but that driver out front of Alexei Usiakola is the first driver into the 1 minute 6s that last time by. He did a 1 minute 6.966.
Yeah, and of course with iRacing allowing you to fuel the Formula 1 cars in the race, we just don't know what these teams are driving with at the start, Will. So until we see the first pit stop times, we're really not going to know exactly how these drivers are playing it. We could see Hugo Louise going for a one stop with a lot more fuel. We could see Mitchell de Jong with less fuel. Alexei Usiakola could be going for a two-stopper. We don't know. So it's going to be at least until lap 30 to lap 40 before we really have an idea what they're doing.
Having a look on board of Tommaso Carlo as he works himself past the stripe, and he's trying to catch up to the rear of Oli Picardo. Now Picardo's currently running in P number 8 in that Team Redline car. As you can see behind as well, down in towards turn number 1, we're going to have ourselves side by side Andre Borcha and Tommaso Carlo, but Borcha not quite close enough, and he's going to fall back a little bit through the run in turn number 2. That means he's not going to get the run that he needs through turn 3 into that Honda corner turn number 4. But Oli Picardo, he struggled at the start of this race as well. Now we expect him, based on his performances last season, to be right there mixing it up with his teammate Alexei Usiakola and also Gregor Hutu. But Picardo is struggling a little bit all the way down in P number 8 range.
Yeah, Picardo's not really had the pace today, and it's really shown. He's going to have to do a lot to try and encourage that car further forwards, but I just don't think he has a machine from Redline to be able to do the job. Or it could just be an off track for him. I just don't think he perhaps has the track dialed in as much as his teammates. Of course, Martin Kroenke has been keeping up that gap now. He's moved a bit further ahead now, Jeremy Bouteloup, that number 24 car, so he's closing up towards Enzo Benito, Will. That could be a new battle, though, 10th apart.
Yeah, I'm having a look at the speed traps for those two drivers heading themselves down into turn number 1. does seem to be that Kroenke is hitting the limiter a little bit. Now that is going to be an interesting point to note for a lot of these top drivers. We always know that they tune their car better to run it in clean air. We've got ourselves actually the driver of Martin Piatella onto pit road in that number 13 car. Let's have a look, see if there's anything particularly wrong with that car as he makes a pit stop now. This is only 10 laps into this event, so you can see a bit of a bent front wing on that car. He's going to try and get that one replaced, but it's a longish stop there for Martin Piatella. Over 10 seconds for him, getting himself some fresh boots back out onto the racetrack in 10.4 seconds, but front wing damage there for Piatella, pretty much ending his day, Rachel.
Yeah, that will do it entirely well. That's really unfortunate there for Marty Piatella. Very fast driver and just, well, out of the running. This will be a recovery drive for him.
Yeah, and once again, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are wondering about a strategy, now a 1 and a 2 stop strategy is, in theory, viable here. It does look as though that most of these drivers are on a similar strategy based upon their lap time so far in this event, but 2 stoppage, you'll see them on around lap 23 and laps number 45, and then a 1-stop drivers where you see them in about lap number 33. Having a look then at the biggest gainers and losers in this race so far, and well, you can see in your top 10 actually, you've got yourself a little bit of a battle. This is going on between the drivers of Picala and Carla for position, and they are battling, say, P number 8, P number 9. Your biggest mover though, Rachel, is Robin Friscops, up 11 spots since the start of this race.
Yeah, Robin Piscop's having a good move. He definitely qualified out of position, Will. And some of the cars around him have done some pretty good things too. Anton Hegley and Isaac Price, they've moved up as well. Poor qualifying has definitely seen them advance further with their race setups on these cars. So definitely a big improvement there from Friscops. That will be interesting to see what he can do. Of course, we saw him battle to get past Job. He's behind him again now. What will he be able to do with that?
Yeah, as we can see there, here's your top 20 left-hand side of your screen. It's currently Yakola leading the way from Hutu Luis, De Jong, Benito, Kroenke, Boutali, Picala, Carla, and Borgia rounding out your top 10. As we stick it then with Andre Borgia down into turn number 1 once again. Again, not quite close enough to the rear of Tommaso Carla to work himself through that first corner, but he gets himself a better run there through turn number 2 than what he's had previously. Struggles in the centre of that apex. And you notice, Rachel, a lot of these drivers are struggling to get on the power, and actually Borgia, I think he missed a shift just then.
He might well have done, and that's going to be really hurting him, but he can hopefully recover from that one. He's still got plenty of time. That Commander Sim Sport car's running currently 10th place, but Mo Garfila behind him, quite a distance back, 3 seconds. On the rear still of Tommaso Carla, and Oli Picala ahead of him, so definitely still in the fight. Miss shift can be frustrating and really upset your mindset, but hopefully he can get that one back.
So listen, ladies and gentlemen, there you are. You heard a bit of a mischief for Andre Borgia, and it didn't cost him much, but it looks as though that for us, kind of SimSport driver is struggling just a little bit. Risky Urasaki, by the way, right now, he's running himself outside the top 20, and there's a huge gaggle of cars right now. This starts with Isaac Price, then Ilka Parda, then Risky Urasaki, Dion Burgess, Dimitri Yanis, all scrapping out for position. Further back, you've got yourself Benjamin Lindsay and Christian Tanahote as well. Now, Tanahote has just got himself past Benjamin Lindsay. This is the battle for P number 28 and 29 on the race. We'll get ourselves another look at that one then. Just saw on my timing screen flipping up. We have a look on board then of Christian Tanahote. And this is down back end of the racetrack, getting himself then past that TNT racing car of Benjamin Lindsay. But that mid-pack is very close, Rachel. Just about 4 tenths of a second separating each of these drivers.
It is indeed, and that's definitely making for some exciting racing as we've got dust being kicked up left, right and centre. These cars running so close together, Will, are going to be slowing each other down a lot. That means we'll soon start to see our leaders coming through. UC Acola is only at the moment maybe 5 to 8 seconds behind Yoni Tamala, and that means he'll be then maybe 20 seconds by the time he gets there behind this pack. So within maybe 30 laps, possibly by the end of the fuel run, he could be in this mire, and this will be hell to pass.
Yeah, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see what drivers do with strategy because of that. Here we are looking on board with driver Dan in that mid-pack. It is Yao Vaz for the Orion Race Team driver, heading himself out of that final corner, down towards turn number 1 once again. That is Dimitri Yanis in that Vortex Sim Racing car just ahead of him as they come down into that first corner. Now, the Orion Race Team car does seem to be lacking a little bit on top-end speed. They work themselves now through turn number 2. The southern loop is just ahead of them. You got yourself Risco Risake still battling it out with Ilka Hapala, who is leading, well, actually second in line in that third pack, really, on the racetrack. Ona Picardo, Master Carlo, and Andre Borcher, that one is still carrying on. But here's an interesting thing, is now, Rachel, Hugo Louise has been able to pull out a 1.5 second advantage over Mitchell de Jong. De Jong, all of a sudden, under pressure from the driver of Enzo Benito.
That's true, and de Jong, early, fast pace, but we always know Luis has been good in a longer run. So, like Hutu, he's just had that pace in the middle sector of the stint. 15 laps in now, so we're maybe halfway. He's just managed to make those tyres work longer. We saw the same thing at Interlagos.
Yep, as you can see, Enzo Benito is still running in P number 5. And, well, actually, Martin Kroenke's not too far back as well as right on board with him. He's 8 tenths of a second behind this gaggle of cars. And ironically, Mitchell de Jong, by running the speed he is, he's allowing Kroenke to catch up back up to the rear of Enzo Benito. Now, Benito, of course, got himself a well-deserved podium last time out at Interlagos. Looks though that your top 5 are really close to separating lap times. That last time by, you had Alexei Isiakola, almost in a different postcode. 1 minute 6.769 his last lap time. Then a 1.7.3 for Gregor Hutu. And in fact, then Hugo Louise in third, 1.7.0. And Mitchell de Jong, a 1.7.0. Enzo Benito, a 1.7.1. Martin Kroenke, a 1.7.1. Interesting to note that like last time by, though, Gregor Hutu did lose 3 tenths of a second compared to Hugo Louise, Rach.
Yeah, and, well, they're not seeming to spread out as much as we thought at the front there, Will. Luis is definitely losing some time, but Hutu's holding on to Yakola, not slipping back as much as we'd see, so it's going to be interesting to see how they can play this one. Definitely think that Kroenke will be in that mix with Benito and probably forcing him down a spot.
Let's ride on board then with Tommaso Carla in that Movano Frostmaster X-Team car as they head themselves down into Honda corner, turn number 4 again. Honda, the power of dreams, unless you're driving it in a McLaren. Out of turn number 5, now down into Siberia corner, turn number 6. Ona Picardo still ahead of that driver of Carlos. They head themselves up the hill once again. Turn number 7, 8 and 9 they come through now. And we've got ourselves behind actually Risco Osake side by side as Patrick Holtzman is going to get past him. That is down into turn number 4, Honda corner, and Holtzman now up to P number 22. And it's an interesting thing about Holtzman, Rachel, that he was so strong in the Pro Series, himself and Tommaso Carla, but Carla is just outperforming him right now in the first 2 races of this season. Holtzman, of course, lap number 1 into them. Here he's had himself a drive-through penalty, of course, but this isn't the start to this season that Holtzman would have wanted.
Certainly not, and unfortunately that's the way he has to do it at the moment. The pressures are different between the Pro Series and the WCS, well, so different competition levels, different drivers being involved, of course, but drivers being locked in, not having to run it, so it's a different portion of the field, and of course that brings different competition levels. Right now, definitely a performance difference between the two of them.
Yeah, and there's a look once again at Andre Borch as they head themselves up the hill down into Siberia corner once again. But Enzo Benito has caught back up to the rear of Mitchell de Jong as they head themselves down on the exit of Lukey Heights into turn number 10. And ladies and gentlemen, let's ride a lap then on board with Enzo Benito as he runs himself through the final corner and heads himself down that very long straightaway. We'll let you enjoy this one. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we just lost our sound there, but there you can see Jeremy Bootsloop. He's having himself an incredible performance right now, running himself in P number 7 on the racetrack. And, well, Rachel, Bootsloop has just been absolutely incredible once again. It's another year in the WCS for him, and he just continues to show strength after strength after strength in this series, heading himself out the final corner. He's got Ollie Bacala, who won a race last year, behind him. Then he's got himself Tommaso Carla, who was so strong in the Pro Series, just a couple of positions back as well. And then Andre Borgia, a long-time stalwart in the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. And Bootsloop is just holding them off incredibly.
Yeah, I think Bootsloop is a lot like Felipe Massa. I think I said that before. My microphone wasn't working. He's a lot better than we give him credit for. He's always there, but we never see him. He's the grey man of the WCS. Not spectacular, but much, much faster than we give credit to. And he always outperforms our expectations. He's always running faster. And right now, he's doing a very good job of racing. He's holding cars back. He's not slow himself. He's keeping them out of his way. But he's in a top 10 position. And that's points and prizes.
Points, of course, always mean prizes. And this interesting thing as well is that we are getting ourselves to that window for our 2 stoppers. And you can see there, just working themselves onto lap number 22. So you can see actually Benito right on the rear. This is as close as he's been now to Mitchell de Jong as he come down into turn number 2. Not quite close enough. Now you lose a lot of that front end bite if you're stuck in traffic through turn 2. Benito, will he be able to make a run as they come down now into turn number 4? Honda corner once again. The answer is going to be it's mighty close. And Benito on the outside, he's going to think about it there, but he can't do the job. Mitchell de Jong keeps that position for the time being, and Benito, Rachel, not able to do the crossover.
He is not, and of course that's bringing Martin Kroenke into this picture. He's now well within biting distance, so de Jong's problems could be solved fairly soon once his wingman turns up.
Oh yes, as you can see, look once again from Enzo Benito as they head themselves down into turn number 1 and 2. Now you always get that little bit of downforce loss as you head himself through turn 2, but the overspeed for Benito, which is absolutely incredible on the exit of turn 2 as they work themselves, you can see there, just literally gets himself alongside as they head himself down into turn number 4, but a little bit too early on the brakes there for Benito, and it allows Mitchell de Jong to keep that position for the time being. Good effort though by Benito as he's once again very close. They head themselves onto lap number 22 now as there's a look once again at Benito and Kroenke just there behind him as well. And Ollie Bacala has just been able to get himself past Rachel, Jeremy Bootsloop, and also actually Tommaso Carla as well. So it looks like something's just happened there, but Bootsloop's falling down a couple of positions all of a sudden.
He has, and I'm going to try and find out exactly what happened there. That was an interesting moment for Jeremy Bootsloop. They came 3 wide, Will, into turn number 1. Bootsloop on the right-hand side. Nothing he could really do with those 2 cars on the inside. They came sweeping through, and he actually got clipped as the car there of the Fanatic Redline car of Ollie Bacala came through. Bacala just cut across the front of him, and he had to check up a little bit, so that's what dropped him further.
Yep, but there you can see there, Bacala losing 2 positions in the space of 1 corner. We're going to get ourselves one more look at that one very quickly from on board of the driver of Tommaso Carla. And here you can see then down in towards turn 1, Bacala in the middle, and then you've got Bootsloop on the outside. Down into turn 1 they come, and Tommaso Carla is just going to sweep that inside line, get himself past both of them. Tommaso Carla moving himself now up into P number 7 as he's having himself a great run right now in that Movano Thrustmaster X Team machine. But here's the interesting point. We now hit that lap number 23 window, and also Yakola has himself a little bit of traffic ahead of him, as there you can see, about to go 1 lap down. I believe that's going to be Yorni Tamala in just 1 moment's time going 1 lap down, as there you can actually see Tamala. We have a look from the rear of him in that Inex racing car. Alexi Yakola, your race leader, who has led every single lap of this race so far today. He has led more laps this season, of course, than anyone else. Tamala very slow there on the exit of the second to last corner to allow Alexi Yakola to go past. But your top 2 drivers not coming in this time by, and Rachel, Benito has got himself, he's fallen back actually, about half a second from the rear, Mitchell de Jong all of a sudden.
Yep, Enzo Benito has fallen back, Will. He's, well, the gap he had was very close. He was within 1/10 of the back of de Jong. Now he's actually fallen well into Martin Kroenke's clutches. Time to release that Cronke, and well, Benito is in a Feracer sandwich.
Yep, there you can see the gap behind. It is just about a quarter of a second right now as they work themselves onto lap number 24 of 69. And your first pit stop, well, that is going to be Tommaso Carla there. So he got himself 2 positions in the space of 1 corner, and now he's on pit road, an 8.8 second stop for him. So clearly he is on that 2-stop strategy here today. He comes back out into a lot of traffic there. They're even thinking about going too wide behind him as they come down in towards turn number 1. Running along board then with Tommaso Carla. You've got the Function Racing car, Frank Levesque the 4th. He qualified in the last position, just ahead on the exit of the corner. There you can see as well behind you got yourself Patrick Holtzman. And Eunice Lecurin actually is behind him. That is not a battle for position on the racetrack. But your top 5, it is currently Alexei Usiakola leading the way. So there you can see the gap between himself now and Gregor Hutu up to 3.7 seconds. From Hutu to Louise, it's now a 1.9 second gap. From Louise to De Jong, it's 2.8 seconds. And then to Benito, it's a further 2/3 of a second. We'll step aside for just 1 moment, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back after this message, but we are going to take you side by side. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We apologise for missing the pit stops. They did happen very quickly. And there you can see Alexei Usiakola making his first stop of the day. Gregor Hutu making a stop as well. 9.6 second stop for him. Enzo Benito on pit road. The top 3 red line drivers on pit road at exactly the same time. Now here's the question, Rachel. What will Commander Simsports do? It looks as though each of their drivers have gone at least 1 lap longer.
They have indeed, Will, and of course Redline together at the moment, so Gregor Hutu is there sitting behind Usiakola. Akola further up the track, so he's gained big in that pit stop, Will. Cronke, De Jong, and both into the pits now. Hugo Luis also in, so they're all in together. Team strategy is well alive.
Yep, so there you can see Hugo Luis onto pit road. From just 1 lap longer, his pit time starting now. You got yourself De Jong and Cronke also on pit road simultaneously. An 8.7 stop then for Hugo Luis back out onto the racetrack. He goes Cronke, an 8.8 second stop for him, and Mitchell De Jong an 8.7 second stop. So pretty much identical pit stop times. The interesting point to note though, Rachel, Gregor Hutu, 9.6 seconds his pit stop. That's the longest of anyone in that top pack, as now we've actually got ourselves another driver on pit road, and that is Miguel Martin in that Radicals Online car. So it looks as though maybe, just maybe, Hutu's playing a little bit of a sly game, trying to go an extra couple of laps longer on this middle stint.
He could well be, but that's something Hutu tries to do, Will. He likes to play things differently. We know he's amazing when it comes to the pit in and pit out, so Hutu could well be going for that sort of strategy. It's something he's always done. It's something we come to expect, and of course maybe he'll try something different because of that, we don't know. But right now, Gregor is, well, down the order, but of course it's going to cycle through as things stand. Pacala is currently leading the way, and Borcher behind him, so of course Borcher off sequence of those front 3 Commander cars. Time to see what he'll do.
And Jake Sturgill's now onto pit road, as is Sebastian Joe. So more pit stops are coming here as we get a look high above at this track, which of course is the wonderful Phillip Island. There's a look as we zoom on in at the driver of Jake Sturgis completing his service in 8.4 seconds. Longest stop for Sebastian Job out in 10.4 seconds, and he's actually going to lose a position to Robin Friscops as he comes out of pit road. Friscops has an 8.7 second stop, Rachel, and jumps ahead of Sebastian Job.
Yeah, brilliant stop there from him, of course. He had been fighting with Sebastian Job for most of this early part of the race, well, so getting him in the pit stops was much easier.
And also, we've got ourselves a little bit of side-by-side battling going on right now. Actually, I take that back. The driver's coming onto pit road. But Oli Picard, here's an interesting point. Himself and Andre Borcher. Borcher's actually onto pit road this time by, so scrap the point I was going to make about Andre Borcher. But just maybe, Rachel, Picard playing the long game here, and we talk about a one-stop being viable. He's not many laps away from one-stop territory. He needs to do another 5 laps, and then he can do it on just 1 tank of fuel.
Yes, he will be able to do that, and that would be an interesting twist to this race. Certainly make it more exciting and, well, you know, take a risk, reap a reward. I believe the great Eddie Jordan once said that you fail at 100% of the opportunities you never take. So you might as well give it a shot. Sometimes it does.
There you can see Andre Borcher coming back out onto the racetrack. 8.5 second stop for him then as he circulates back onto the track, and that was Risky Irisake who comes out just ahead of him, as well as Alex Simpson. Now, of course, Simpson had himself a bit of a bang at the start of this race. We've got ourselves a nice little battle going on. Ilka Hapala battling with Paul Ilbrich. This is a battle for P9, P10. Mitchell de Jong right there in that one as well. And here's the thing for de Jong. He's come out in a bit of traffic, Rachel, and he's really struggling to get past it right now. This is that thing of the mix of the 1 and the 2 stop strategies going on right now. De Jong does eventually get past Hapala, but it's going to really hurt him in the battles he was involved early on, of course, with Cronke and Benito. Yes, he's ahead of them right now, but he's allowing those two to bunch back up to him a little bit.
He is, and that's going to make things very exciting, of course. Cronke is ahead of Benito after that pit stop, so that's one position he doesn't have to gain the hard way. And we have one of the Orion cars coming onto pit road, Will.
Yeah, we've also got ourselves Oli Picard on pit road. Asmo Garfilo is on as well. So Oli Picard will complete his service in 8.4 seconds. So it looks like it will be 2 stops for him. Yuhu Abe doing his service right now. You've got Risky Urasake just coming onto pit road. And Ilka Hapala making his service at the end of lap number 30. There you can see 8.9 second stop as he beds back out onto the racetrack. And Risky Urasake then making his service. Now drivers yet to stop. Jeremy Bouteloup, Antoine Hegelin, Paul Ulbrich, Isaac Price, and Alex Simpson potentially thinking about doing the long game here as we complete 30 out of 69 laps. Irisake, a 5.8 second stop for him, so it looks like that's a very quick stop. But Jeremy Bouteloup then leads his first laps in a while in the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. But Rachel, he comes onto pit road at the end of lap number 30.
He will indeed, and of course that's giving him a little bit of extra advantage because he'll have fresher tyres, but we know these take a while to come up to temperatures, so things cycling back through the order, Will. Jeremy Bouteloup, he's on pit road himself right now. That cycles things back through to, well, pole sitter and initial race leader, Alexei Usiakola. Behind him, of course, Hutu. Behind him, of course, Louise. Things are going back to normal. Mitchell de Jong, Martin Cronke, Enzo Benito. So, only one real position change there in the top 6.
Yeah, and a big issue for Bouteloup. He was short on his pit stop. It's taken forever. As you can see, Antoine Hegelin completing his service in 7.2 seconds. Bouteloup, though, is going to come back out onto the track eventually. There you can see 16.4 second stop for him. So a great start to this race is ruined for Jeremy Bouteloup. It's Paul Ulbrich back onto the track as well. Going to get ourselves another look at that one, but disaster for Jeremy Bouteloup there. Having a look at this, he comes onto pit road, and you'll notice just about here, he just sits in his pit stop, and then he'll just move forward in a moment's time. There you can see, and Rachel, that cost him quite a lot of time. We'll cycle our cameras back to get a look at that one again, but that cost him at least 10 seconds.
It will do indeed, and that's of course going to be a massive problem for him. There's so much track position in 10 seconds, it's unreal. And speaking of track position, I think after Alex Simpson's initial fracas with Davy Decor, I think, well, and okay, he's just proved me wrong, he's onto pit road.
Yeah, and there's just having a look, counting in my head, 5 seconds. Now, there is one potential answer for this, in that he was just trying to get himself a last-minute command to his pit crew over his strategy. He might have converted onto a one-stop strategy at the very last second, because it was a 16.4 second stop for him. Now, the only driver to have yet to come onto pit road now is Isaac Price in that number 24 car. Alex Simpson, 9.4 seconds back out and away onto the racetrack. And here you can see then the one driver yet to have pitted is Isaac Price in that iNext Racing number 12 machine, heading himself up the hill. Currently scored in the 7th position on the racetrack, but your race leader, as Rachel just alluded to a moment ago, is the driver of Alexei Usiakola, and that gap now, Rachel, up to 6.2 seconds to Gregor Hutu. But look who's come back into play. It is Hugo Louise, running in P3, now just a third of a second back from the rear of Gregor Hutu.
Yep, the sleepy Brazilian is back on fire. He's after Hootie right now. Let's see if he can bring some Latin fire to the Finnish Iceman. This could be a really exciting fight on the track, Will. Not one I think we'd seen or expected to see for quite a while, but, well, our two champions could well be going at it in a lap or two.
As you can see, Hugo Louise then running himself in P number 3 right now. And, of course, he's lost one position to where he started. But the two world champions in World Championship Series history now battling it out for P number 2 and P number 3 on the racetrack. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, next week we got ourselves a double header here on RaceSpotTV. We have ourselves simultaneous coverage of the 3rd round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, and simultaneously we also have coverage of the iRacing.com 12 Hours at Sebring. It's on March 28th. It will start at 1 PM GMT. Join myself, Will Vinton, and Rachel Whiteford as some of the best GT3 drivers, GT drivers and prototype drivers in the world take it on in another team event here as part of the iRacing.com Endurance Series. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for your mid-race report here on RaceSpotTV. And after starting on pole position, Alexei Usiakola now has himself a big gap. It is just 6.6 seconds over Gregor Hutu. He's been eking it out lap after lap after lap. Team Redline, they all came onto pit road at exactly the same time. Commander Simsports, they went one lap longer. And right now you've got yourself Gregor Hutu and Hugo Louise spanning out for P number 2, P3. That could be crucial as we head ourselves into our 2nd round of pit stops. Now, in the early going, we had ourselves a great battle going on between Mitchell de Jong, Martin Kroenke, and Enzo Benito. Right now, de Jong has himself a 1 second advantage over Martin Kroenke, who's finally beginning to pull out a bit of an advantage over Enzo Benito. They've both got past Benito now as he's relegated into that 6th position. The one driver yet to have pitted so far, well, that is Isaac Price. There you can see him in the iNext Racing car, heading himself down into turn number 10 right now. We had ourselves a bit of an incident on the 2nd lap of the race. We avoided that 1st lap fracas, but Rachel, we had ourselves a lap 2 fracas.
Are we going to have a fracas debate, Will? We did indeed have a few. Of course, we all know it should be pronounced fracas, of course, like garage. But anyway, it's been an exciting race. That early contact, there have been several incidents, of course. We had one involving Paolo Muya and Jonas Nikarian. That was all the stewards will be looking at that one, I think. But the one we had involving, of course, and that was Davey Decor and Alex Simpson. Classic dive bomb. I think we had a bit of aero loose going on in that incident, but if it hadn't been for that, he would have certainly Rosberged him later on in the corner. Yep, that's a word now.
Yep, as you can see, battle between P19 and P20, Ilka Hapala and Miguel Martin. And to give you an update on Jeremy Boutaloop, there you can see him all the way down now in P number 25. Now, it will be interesting to hear after this race, Rachel, whether or not he did change onto a one-stop strategy at the last moment, because potentially just him and Isaac Price are going to be on a one-stopper. A 16.4 second stop net time for Boutaloop. He is losing time and actually just about to get himself past, potentially, by Dimitri Yanis. Yanis was right alongside him as they headed themselves down into turn number 4. But Boutaloop and Price, as Price actually comes onto pit road, 36 laps of this race scored complete, they are clearly into one-stop territory.
Yeah, they probably are, Will. Of course, that would be a slightly slower strategy, but it does gain you a lot of track position. 2 stops the fastest, 3 stops just... most of our front runners, I think the top 10 will be on 2 stops. Throughout the field, though, you can afford to really sling it out there and go for what you can. If you want to do a one-stop, fine. You know, it can help you actually spread out somewhat.
As you can see, side by side, Miguel Martin, Ilka Hapala. Hapala's been able to get past. We'll get ourselves a replay of that one from on board of Miguel Martin then, as they're working themselves back back end of the racetrack, down through turn number 10 into 11, and just look at the way that Harpada just closes down Martin on that very long front straightaway. It's actually one of the fastest points that we have all season long here, Rachel, as Harpada just slings it down to the inside and makes it look incredibly easy.
He does, and of course, when he passes work, it definitely looks easy. When they don't work, it looks horrifically clumsy, Will. But good move, well executed, in perfect timing, and a lot of respect between those drivers giving each other the room to do it. Now,
Martin Kroenke is caught back up to the rear of Mitchell de Jong. That last time by for Martin Kroenke, it was a 106.808. His fastest lap of the race so far. A 10th faster than Mitchell de Jong, but he's just been eking out that one. 10th after 10th after 10th, Rachel. And now all of a sudden, that battle is back on between these two Commander Simsport drivers.
It is, and that'll be very exciting on this track, of course. Well, you know, Hugo Lloris, he's definitely gone away from them a bit, but de Jong and Kroenke very close on the racetrack. Could be a fight there, but chances are they'll probably run in line and keep that team point situation better.
Yeah, and don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can keep in contact with us on Twitter all race long. Use the hashtag iRacingWCS. Follow us on Twitter at RaceSpotTV and also Facebook.com/RaceSpotTV as well. And for all of you who are taking part in the conversation on YouTube, thank you for having a rather entertaining day here on YouTube here today. Lots of great people to give a shout out to. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to name you all individually, but here you can see then the ongoing battle between Gregor Hutu and Hugo Lloris. And Rachel, actually, it has stretched out a little bit. It's now half a second once again. Lloris and Hutu, well, this is one of those things with both Commander and Team Redline. They traditionally set their cars up to run in clean air. Unlike some of these teams in the mid-pack, when they know they're going to be running in traffic all race long, they use that longer 7th gear. It does seem to be that once again, they just simply cannot find a way to get past. And it's almost a consequence of these people running at the very, very peak of their game. As Holtzman is making a pit stop right now, and of course he had a drive-through on lap number 1.
Yeah, because they're so close on pace, well, it's going to be really tough to see them pass. But Lloris is really catching up now to the back of Hutu. If he can get within that draft range, I think he can do something with this. I really want to see them fight. I really do. It'll be like seeing Godzilla and King Kong going at it over the skyline of Tokyo. You know, these are the big names of our sport, and they are the titans, the champions, and the racing's always incredible. Hutu, we know he's a great battler, but Lloris, he's wily. He has some little things he'll play. He plays with the mind of his opponents, so it's really nice to see this, and I really want him to get into something, because normally things could stretch out a bit and it's boring, but right now we have a potential fight and clash of the titans on our hands.
Yep, although the battle out front, it's completely gone, realistically. Unless Yokoda makes a mistake, it looks as though that he might win 2 races on a trot, and there's the gap between himself and your race leader, 8.3 seconds right now. Let's get ourselves a look at your top 20, left-hand side of your screen. Yakoda from Hutu from Louise, de Jong, Kroenke, Benito, Pacala, Borgia, Carla, and Philo. They are your top 10 right about now. And it's going to be very interesting, Rachel. I talked about it earlier, I'll mention it again. That extra lap that Commander Simsport did over Team Redline can well prove to be the critical factor here today.
Could well be, and the qualifying results have always been strong for Redline, Will, so I really expect that will just translate on and on and on in the races. At least Gregor's woken up in qualifying now.
Yeah, finally, and of course this is when one of Gregor Hutu's best qualifyings in a very, very long time. And actually you have to go back to probably 2/3 of the way into last season before you really find Gregor Hutu having himself good form in qualifying. Down in the pack we've got Ilka Parla, Paul Ilbrink. They are going at it right now, and of course Papada's going to get himself past one of the Radicals Online drivers, Rachel. He's now hunting down another, and this is a battle for P16, P17, as it looks as though that Papada's going to close right up to the rear as they come down towards turn number 1.
Yes, he will, of course. Ilbrink had gotten past earlier on, but Hapala's going to look to the outside. Oh, a bit of a clip on the dust there from Hapala. Still chasing down Paul Ilbrink, and he's got a much faster car at the moment, Will.
Yeah, and behind you got yourself Isaac Price battling it out with Yao Vaz. Now, of course, Isaac Price did a 12-second stop. He is on 1-stop territory here today, so he won't need to come towards pit road again. The thing for Price is, at this stage of the race, Rachel, he just needs to make sure he doesn't lose time. He will be passed by drivers. Alex Simpson, about 7/7 to a second back from him right now, and closing. The thing is that he just needs to make sure that he doesn't actually you know, push too hard and lose too much time as other drivers get past him.
Exactly, and that's the really important thing about being lapped. It's something that these guys know from running in endurance racing. They know how to get cars past you without losing as much time. It can be done, and if everyone's compliant, it works. Not the situation you want to be in, of course, but you've got to manage what you've got, and you can still secure a fairly good result.
Yeah, a little bit of a wiggle there from Alex Simpson as they head themselves down to the final corner. This one should be academic with the amount of fuel that Simpson has compared to Isaac Price. Down to the inside he goes, and of course Price making it very easy there for Alex Simpson as he heads himself down in towards turn number 1. Move Alex Simpson now up into the 22nd place. Move Isaac Price down 1 position. Like Price almost giving a bit of a love tap there to Alex Simpson as they head himself through turn 1. I'm sure that was not intentional, just really the closing speed and getting into the draft in these corners. Now, Martin Kroenke up to the rear of the driver of Mitchell de Jong. Gap is down to just a 1/10.5 of a second as they work themselves down into turn number 1, down into the carousel, the southern loop once again, Rachel, and it does look slow. Martin Kroenke's kind of woken up halfway into this race.
He has. It's really good to see that, of course. The Kroenke always gets released at about half-time, you know, along the oranges. They find a time to just kind of, you know, press that little button and off he goes. He's like VTEC, he kicks in eventually. And, yeah, right on the back of Mitchell de Jong, and that could be a fight there within that team positions. But will he have enough to go catch Hugo Luis ahead of him? 3-4 seconds at the road, Will? We don't know. But right now, Luis and Hutu constantly almost 4/10 apart.
Yeah, and last time by, they were lapping about 2/10 of a second faster than de Jong. Now, Kroenke last time by actually was the fastest driver on the racetrack. He did himself a time of 1 minute 6.760. There's a look at that on your screen. His fastest lap of the race, and actually having a look through that last time by, yeah, he was clearly the fastest driver by about 1/10 of a second. Interesting enough though, Rachel, Antoine Hegelin all the way down in P number 13 was the second fastest driver that last time by, as Luis is once again starting to really push to the rear of Gregor Hutu.
He is. He's getting much, much closer. Every lap, he's a few inches closer, Will, and it's that close between these guys. Luis, his last lap was a 106.787. Gregor Hutu, 106.844, so he actually get pulled away that time round, but the lap before, Luis gained, so they're trading times, and it's just getting so much close at the moment. It's like watching continental plates moving. You know, it's slow, it's steady, but you know it's happening.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier on you saw a recap of the second round of the NASCAR Peak Entry Series. We'll step aside for 1 second and you can explore what is going on in the NASCAR Peak Entry Series. We're going to take you side by side and we'll be right back.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.com, has officially begun.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here is a look at your race leader. It is Alexei Usiakola, who right now has himself an 8.6 second advantage over Gregor Hutu. For more information about the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series and the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com, head over to wcs.iracing.com. Right now, Luis still battling on Gregor Hutu. Battle for P number 2 on the racetrack. Down the pack, Rachel, we haven't talked about this much, but we've got ourselves a nice little scrap forming right now. This is between Andre Borgia, Tommaso Carla, and Mo Garfilo. Battle for P number 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, great little fight there. Those guys pretty even on pace at the moment, Will, so things looking scrappy, of course. They are going to fall back further from the front, but I don't think they have much chance of getting up there, so this is a battle for whatever points they can pull.
Yeah, and of course, every point matters in the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. The way it works is, of course, your 25 top drivers after this season will retain their licenses into 2016. the drivers outside the top 25, well, they're going to have to run in the iWCGPS Pro Series of Road Racing, which actually is what Tommaso Carla graduated from just a couple of weeks ago, now running his second iWCGPS World Championship event. Mo Garfido running in P number 10. Now, he's actually been in this series since 2013. I actually remember commentating on his journey in the Pro Series back in 2012. And he's one of those other drivers, Rachel, who just seems to race after race after race, just get it together, get themselves consistent finishes inside your top 10, top 15. And we don't talk about these drivers so much, but they always have themselves strong, consistent finishes.
Yeah, it's the quiet guys that are sometimes some of the best in here. We have the really fast guys, but they can also have mistakes. But we have guys in our mid-pack, they just constantly get the times in. They are so fast. I mean, even being in the mid-pack in the WCS will, that's alien. You know, these guys are really rapid. Brilliant racers, and we always see great fun racing from them. Good wheel-to-wheel action.
Yeah, that gap is all starting to spread out a little bit. Jake Sturgis is coming into the party though right now. He's currently running in the 11th place in the Inex Racing number 5 machine, catching Mo Garfido in that Radicals Online car. And, well, Jake Sturgis having himself a good race, and once again coming through the field like what he did a couple of weeks back at Interlagos. You can see he's up 10 positions since this race has started, so he is moving himself up through the field right now. But we are getting himself, Rachel, now to second round of pit stops. Now, these drivers, I think realistically for Redline, about 2 laps away in my opinion. I think it'll be very interesting to see, though, Hutu, he was a second longer on his last stop. I think that might just keep him ahead of Louise if he does come in 1 lap later.
I think it will, and that's going to be a real advantage when we know he's great choosing when to pit and when to put those fast times in. I think that could keep the gap there, so, well, unless he has a really bad stop, well, I think he'll stay in front.
Tommaso Carlos on pit road, Antoine Hegelin on pit road. Now these two drivers came in early last time by. They lead the field onto pit road once again. 8.9 second stop then for Tommaso Carlos. Antoine Hegelin out in 8.8 seconds. So your second round of pit stops is now underway. We've got ourselves pretty interesting and pretty quiet pit road, although Alex Simpson is back into the pits right now. He's on pit road from 24th place. He gets himself 4 tyres. He tops up with fuel. Expect pit stop times here in the region of about 9 seconds once again. And it's the longest stop for Simpson, 9.6 seconds, back out and away. That's his final stop of the day. But here you can see then a look at Alexei Yisiakola, realistically 2 laps away from coming on pit road. Here's the thing though, Rachel. There's 4 cars ahead of him who's going to get lapped very soon. If you are Yakola, you are thinking, well, I've got a 9-second lead. I might as well just get this stop out of the way very soon.
That would be what I'd do, Will. I'd come in, not have to deal with the traffic, find a good gap to come out in clean air, and carry on with that lead. Of course, right now, unless he makes a real mistake, will get us involved in that traffic. Of course, traffic being passed right now, one of the friction racing cars there being passed by your leaders. I believe that is, well, I can't quite tell at the moment. He got out of the way.
That'd be Frank Levette the 4th.
Oh, Frank Levette the 4th, indeed, yes. He got well out of the way of those guys, as it Price.
Yeah, pit road.
Yep, he is indeed.
So Alexei Yisiakola comes onto pit road then to make his second stop of the day. Hutu stays out and Louise comes onto pit road the same time as Yakola. Now that is going to be very important for Hutu. This is where Hutu is better than probably any driver in the world. This run of pit stops. Hutu leads his first laps then of his 2015 iWCGPS World Championship campaign. They can see Yakola, they can see a Coanda train of drivers coming in behind him. 8.7 second stop for Alexei Yisiakola onto the racetrack. And here you can see Louise, Dion and Cronke all on pit road. And you can see an 8.4 second stop for Louise. It is an 8.6 second stop for Dion. Martin Cronke does his time in 8.6 seconds as well. They all come back out into the racetrack. But now, this is what I was talking about, Rachel. Those extra couple of laps that Hutu might well be able to do now. This might, we talk about speeds here. This is Gregor Hutu. He's faster than anyone else in the world at this stage of an event. He could well close that gap back up to Yakola a little bit.
Yeah, and I'm looking right now at the actual race times. Well, he had dropped back to 107s, pulled into the 106s and 7s when he was racing with Luis, and he's dropped into the mid-6s now, so faster laps there from Hutu. He's staying out again. Not sure this is a great option, but of course we know he's very good on pulling the times when he needs it. Looking for the first time back from Hugo Luis when he will come in. Of course, time's very evenly matched between those two. Of course, he's pit stop now, so cold tyres will be a factor. possibly going to pull a gap there from Hootie, but we don't quite know yet. Could be very evenly matched.
Yeah, Oli Picard onto pit road. You can see Dimitri Yanis made a pit stop a moment ago, 9.6 seconds, as Oli Picard pit road speed here is very, very slow as he comes into his box then to make his second stop of the day. You got a lot of other drivers in as well. There you can see a packed pit road all of a sudden. Andre Borgia, Mo Garfilo all making stops, as is Robin Friscops. And you got one of the running racing drivers as well of you, Abe there, 8.1 seconds out and away then for Andre Porcher, 8 seconds for Philo, and Robin Friscops a 7.7 second stop as Yuhu Abel completes his service in a time of 9 seconds. He heads himself back out onto the racetrack as Yao Vaz is onto pit road as well for his second stop of the day in that Orion Race Team car. As we look on board of him, and there you can see just ticking it along. The stops, of course, will get shorter every lap you go further. 8 seconds back onto racetrack, and Hutu's onto pit road. So Gregor Hutu comes in then a couple of laps later than Luis. You've also got yourself Enzo Benito on pit road as well. And Benito also did himself a second longer on his pit stop, so 9.5 second stop for him last time by. But Gregor Hutu onto pit road, his second stop of the day. This is going to be an interesting one then, as that pit stop timer ticking over, 8.1 seconds out and away. Where is Hugo Luis? Well, he's way back right now. We circle the camera around, you can see Gregor Hutu clearly in second place. Nice, good, fast pit stop there. The gap is still 7.1 seconds out from, but Gregor Hutu's put some breathing room over his long-time championship nemesis, which is, of course, Hugo Luis. But it was a 7.8 second stop for Enzo Benito. He comes out ahead of Oli Picard. Actually, Sebastian Job just ahead of him on the racetrack, but Job still got to cycle through pit stops right now, Rachel.
He does, and of course, Hootie will be a little bit slower on these next couple of laps. Well, with those cold tyres, Luis has got some temperature in, so he can really fight now. Times from him have been really slow, though. Gregor Hootie, well, we're not going to see in times until he cycles through this next one after this time passed. Of course, this next lap will be counted as including pit road exits, so we'll have to see. But definitely a big gap right now, although Luis is pushing hard. He knows he has to make this time up now, or it'll be gone forever.
Yeah, and you can see the gap is currently 2.4 seconds between those drivers, but the gap to the race lead is still 7.1 seconds. They work themselves past the stripe then once again, as they can see just in the background, it is Hugo Luis right now, 2.3 seconds back on the racetrack. They can see Hugo Luis, and they can see P4, and you actually now got the commander drivers running themselves P3, P4, P5. It's currently Luis leading that train from De Jong, and then Martin Kroenke. Here's a look then at your top 20 left-hand side of your screen once again. Sherry Bootsloop then making his second stop, so he does actually have to come in for a second stop, Rachel. We thought he might one-stop it, but he's actually had himself a long stop. Looks like that his day is done, as Martin Kroenke now really pushing onto the rear of De Jong.
Yeah, Kroenke wants that position. Teammates are not well, so he's going to have to really put some effort in, and I think he can do it.
Yeah, as they work themselves then down towards Lukey Heights once again. Here you can see riding on board with Martin Kroenke in that Ferrari Quiet Sim Sports car. Just ahead of him, half a second up the road, is Mitchell de Jong as they work themselves down into 10 one more time. Let's then ride a lap on board with Martin Kroenke as he works himself out of the final corner and heads himself down towards turn number 1. Frank Levette the fourth and Christian Tanahoto, the last couple of drivers to pit here then in this race. We don't expect anyone else now to come on pit road. As they can see, Tanahote just working himself out of pit road. He is currently scored down in the 29th position and is unfortunately scored down 1 lap to your race leaders. You can see him there back out onto the racetrack. Frank Levesque, well, he did himself a 7.5 second pit stop as he scored in the 28th place in that other friction racing machine. But Rachel, it does look as though that for the time being at least, Hutu has got it from Louise. The interesting one is that ongoing battle though between the drivers of Mitchell de Jong and Martin Kroenke.
Exactly, and I really think that I expected more from Martin Kroenke at the start of the season, Will. I really thought he'd be further up. I thought he'd be challenging for the wins. He was as strong as, if not slightly stronger than Hutu at the end of last season. I don't know. Right now I was expecting more. He's always been in the top 5, top 10, but not the player we thought he'd be. So quite surprised to see him behind his teammate, plural I should say, teammates Hutu and Luis and de Jong. But maybe he'll come in later on, we don't know. But right now, this is a red line season so far. It could well be a Mercedes-style season because no one seems to be able to catch Yusi Akola. He qualifies on pole, he disappears. It's just, I mean, we haven't shown him much because he's so fast. He's fighting nobody. It's just incredible pace from that guy.
Yeah, we're actually having a look at one of the other Team Redline drivers. That is Enzo Benito as they work themselves down through turn number 4, Honda corner once again. But Alexei Yusi today has led a total of, get this, 47 laps so far. Of course, he was 4th in the 2014 iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. Last year, he was running for Glacier Racing, moved over to Team Redline this year, and that Fanatic OKO car is now going to lead his 48th lap of the race. He's working himself past some traffic. That was Alex Simpson. Little bit of miscommunication there, I think, Rachel, as they came down into turn number 1.
Yep, certainly. Alex Simpson, we know he's very good in traffic, so unfortunate that he had to have that issue, but these things will happen. Yusi Akola making it fairly clean though, not an issue for him. Just, it's tough when you don't quite know where someone who is much faster wants to go.
Yep, so we'll get ourselves another look at that one then from Alexei Yusi out of the final corner. You can see Simpson. They both look to the right hand side, and then eventually Simpson just moving to the right hand side. It didn't look so bad actually on the replay there, but Yakola did have to blip on the throttle as they came down in towards turn number 1. Antoine Hegel and Sebastian Job right now battling for position, and it looks as though that Antoine Hegel is going to get past Job, and they are 2 Apex Racing UK cars. Rachel, looks as though that it's just a little bit of showmanship there, because Joe, I do think he's potentially trying to do this on one stop. Just had a look at his last pit stop time. In fact, he's just made another pit stop. I take that one back completely. So outside my view, Sebastian Job has made his second pit stop of the day. 7.3 seconds. He comes out behind his teammate Antoine Hegelin. So scrap exactly what I said there, Rachel. But Job, I was thinking he was going to go on a one-stop, but the only driver who we do think is on a one-stop strategy is Isaac Price. But it's only worked out for P number 16 for him so far, which is still a net gain of 6 positions, but it's a lot of work for little gain.
It is. It's a really tough thing to do on one stop because your tyres are so much older, the car feels like junk, Will. These guys, I expected a lot from some of them, and, well, it's just been tough to start the season. Other teams have been slightly more in the performance aspect of things, but we have been to 2 very similar circuits so far, both with very complex, twisty sections, a lot of impetus on the downforce and mechanical. I think it's going to be interesting when we go to tracks like Sebring, tracks like Road America, where there's a lot of slow cornering. That could be a very different sort of game. We might see different drivers benefiting, so could be interesting to see there.
Yeah, there you can see Patrick Holtzman back onto pit road for what will be his final time of the day, working himself out of pit road in just 1 moment's time. In the Movano Frostmaster X Team car, his pit stop time, a 6.9 second stop, back out into the 25th position on the racetrack, 26th actually, as Dimitrianis goes past him, driver who just breezed past. Well, that wasn't for position there, and I believe that was actually Gregor Hutu. Indeed it was, putting him a lap down. They can see, look at your 4-time champion, which is Gregor Hutu in that Team Redline car. Well, overall, Rachel, if we're going to grade this race to 58 laps of it scored complete, much better performance for Hutu than what we saw 2 weeks ago, and it all came down to qualifying.
Yeah, certainly. And Hutu having actually bothered to qualify this time, or at least try. Even when he doesn't try, he's still in the top 10. But seeing him try, putting it in second or third, sorry, that was a great result for him. He's within shooting distance of the front, and of course now running second. Best result, it will be his best result for quite a while actually. So looking good for him right now, but he's just not nothing to compare to UC Acola. And I don't think it's all track position, of course. It's just that UC Acola is so quick. Of course, recent addition to that Team Redline outfit, so he's showing up his stablemates right now.
Yeah, and there's a look. Alex Simpson, Benjamin Lindsay scrapping for P23, P number 24 on the racetracks. They head themselves down into one once again. And there you can see Benjamin Lindsay in the 23rd position. Now, so far in this race, he is up 10 spots from where he qualified. Good running then by that TNT racing driver as he works himself in a long-term scrap right now with Alex Simpson. And Simpson, after he had himself that incident on lap number 2, does look as though he didn't sustain too much damage, Rachel.
I don't think he did. I think the car's running pretty well right now. Just it's put him out of sequence, having to wobble and losing so much track position at the time, Will. So definitely not what he wanted to have at the start, and it's probably cost him most of the positions he could have gained.
Yeah, and his Apex Racing teammates are currently running in P number 14, P15. A good showing by Apex Racing UK here today. Much better than actually what they had a couple of weeks back. Down in your mid-pack, does seem to be that the field has stretched out quite a bit. Interesting point to note is that Mogar Philo, he has moved up in this race so far an overall 4 positions. So he's now solidly inside that top 10. But Tommaso Carter right behind him as well. Good showing by him as he's running himself in that number 28 machine. He's at 1 position from where he qualified. It was a big scrap down there in the early going. Oli Picardo was able to finally break away from this gaggle of cars, Rachel. And it took about half the race really for Picardo to get into his own, I think.
I think it did, and he needs to get onto that sooner, and that's something, of course, he'll have to work on as a driver. But yeah, he does seem to struggle a little bit. It takes him a long time to warm up under race conditions, and that's costing him positions. Well.
Yeah, and there you can see a look down at that Team Redline car. The number 3 machine of Oli Picardo, who came 3rd in last year's World Championship, winning himself 1 race along the way as well. And of course, himself and Yakoda moving over to Team Redline this season. Now into the final 10 laps then of the second round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. And don't forget, if you are a new member to iRacing, head on over to iRacing right now. Get yourself 3 months worth of subscription for just $12. Get all of the free content, plus RaceSpotTV's favourite car. Yep, it's the Ford GT. Get yourself both the GT2 and the GT3 models. Use that promo code that you see up on your screen. And, well, new members to iRacing, Rachel, we say hello to them every single time we do a World Championship broadcast. They can experience iRacing for the first time, and there's some great content out there right now.
There is indeed, and of course you don't have to be as fast as these guys to enjoy iRacing. The way iRacing works, it means you will always get placed with people of roughly your ability level, so always exciting close racing on iRacing.com, Will.
Yeah, let's have a look at Jake Sturgis in the INX Racing car, battling with Tommaso Carter. This is for the final step in that top 10. And, well, Sturgis last time by was a 10th of a second faster. He's got 6 seconds to close, and Rachel, I'm wondering whether that INX power that we know and love might well be the difference maker in the final laps of this race.
I think it could be. I think Sturgis has definitely got the pace to bring it in there, and I think he can do that. That Movano car's been reasonable. It's just not been quite as fast as the as we know that the INX cars are. I think he'll put him under pressure, and I think we could definitely see the experience there of Jake Sturgis paying off.
Yeah, as we can have a look then, working themselves up the hill once again. Gap is still 6 tenths per second between those 2 drivers as we have a look from the rear of Tommaso Carter to work himself down into turn number 10 one more time. 62 laps of this race scored complete out of 69. Your race leader is, of course, still Alexei Usiakola. Gap between himself and Gregor Hutu has come down a little bit. It is now only 5.6 seconds, but again, you could have probably just taken it easy. As we have a look at that speed chart for Jake Sturgis, not getting the full use of that toe yet as they come down into turn number 1. So he needs to get himself a little bit closer if he wants to get himself into full draft range. As Oli Picardo was a little bit slow there actually through turn, or trying to figure out what corner this is. This was turn number 10. It was a little bit slow there that last time by. Actually, it was turn 4. but he's still carrying along. He is low 7.8 seconds behind his teammate Enzo Benito in that battle for P number 6. And overall, Rachel, after that pit stop, it does look as though that Hutu has just flexed his legs a little bit and get himself a 2.8 second gap now over Hugo Luis.
Yeah, I think Gregor Hutu was probably reading a book or doing some accounting work, because he was a little bit relaxed in that midsection, and I think he looked in his mirror eventually and noticed that Hugo was there and decided to put his foot down, Will. So, done exactly what he does. We know he's the expert of the pit stop, fastest pit entry lap of all, and, well, gets it done in classic Gregor style.
Yeah, as he just works himself past a little bit of lap traffic. That was Benjamin Lindsay who has just gone past. And he's going to get himself one more driver in just a moment's time. I believe that might be Alex Simpson, who is just coming up to put a lap on as he works themselves up the hill once again. Hugo Luis as well got himself a little bit of traffic to get himself past, as well as right on board with him in the Commander SimSport machine, heading himself through Lukey Heights, turn number 9, down that drop into turn 10 once again. And, well, Luis, we have to say as well for him, we're going to grade this race now. He's much better compared to 2 weeks ago at Interlagos. It seems to be that your two world champions have kind of woken up for the second round after they saw the absolute domination by Alexei Usiakola. They just can't get any closer to that top step on the podium, though.
No, and right now that top step has pretty much got a reserved by Alexei Usiakola sticker on it, and it's going to be staying there for a while. Fighting out for second and third is what these two champions can do at the moment. Could we see Alexei Usiakola joining them as only the third new champion of the Irish and WCS? We don't know, but it's looking positive at the moment. We thought this would be Martin Kronke's year, but Usiakola out of nowhere joins Team Redline and is certainly class of the field at the moment.
Yeah, you often say it takes a couple of races for a driver to fit into a new team. For Alexei Usiakola, he has done basically everything that could ever be asked by Dom Duhan, who is a team principal for Team Redline, and all of those other people who work within that fantastic organisation. Alexei Usiakola gap is still 5.5 seconds right now between himself and Gregor Hutu. As you can see them working himself past the start-finish line once again. Just 5 more laps to go in this event then. And, well, Jake Sturgios and Carla, they've got another person here who they're both catching, Rachel. It is Mogar Philo. And I thought that Philo was going to be nice and safe in that P number 9 battle. I don't think he necessarily is, because both Carla and Sturgios are very hungry right now.
Yeah, they are. They're coming for him now, and it's not really going to be, I think Sturgis could use Philo to get past Carla and possibly him as well, so that could put him, I think Sturgis is definitely going to be looking at a top 10 here today. This depends on how deep he goes into that top 10, Will.
Yeah.
Of course, Andre Borcher is not exactly far up the road.
Yeah, he's 4.3 seconds, so there might, for example, if Borcher has to save some fuel last moment, that one could still come into issues. There's actually a look at Andre Borcher in that Coanda SimSports machine as he heads himself down into turn number 4 one more time. And, well, yeah, you can see actually that Borcher, he's having himself one of Andre Borcher's classic races, just being consistent, like what he so often does. And he caused him 7th in last year's World Championships. He heads himself through the trees then back up towards Lukey Heights, turn number 9. But the gap behind it is actually come down from Carla to Philo. And one thing this will do as well for Tommaso Carla is as soon as he gets into that draft of Philo, he'll be able to better protect himself from Jake Sturgis as well.
He will, and that'll be a very important step for him there. He needs that barrier, that buffer zone. Because Robin Friskops, he's actually 2 seconds behind them. He's looking like he, was going to be competition, but he's dropped back a little bit, Will. Yeah, Jake Sturgis, definitely one of the movers here. Of course, qualified 21st. He's in 11th right now. Could be looking at top 10. That's a big, big move for him. And the biggest move is actually inside will be inside the top 10.
Yeah, as they can see then, the ongoing battles for Tommaso Carla in the Movano Thrustmaster X-Team car. So they head themselves down towards Honda Corner, turn number 4. They've only got themselves a couple of laps to duke it out though, and of course it is the shortest lap time that we see all season long as well. One of the outstanding battles that we technically have, Rachel, is Martin Kronke and Mitchell de Jong. It does look as though, though, that Kronke isn't pushing it too hard now to try and really pressure his teammate into any form of issue.
Yeah, he does, and I think he could do something right now, of course. Those two have been close all day, but the gap has opened up. I do think they'll stay in that same running order, of course, because it's still points for the team. And right now, none of them have enough on the board for it to be an issue of driver standings.
You say that, but we know that De Jong is running a part-time schedule this season. And we know how close the World Championship was last year with Kroenke. Would you think about it, if you're De Jong, maybe just allowing a teammate to go past, thinking that big picture? Because, again, De Jong's not fighting for a championship this year. We know that one to be true. Kroenke could still well be in that championship picture come round 16 of the championship.
I think he could be, and that could be really important for them, of course, and a long season will.
Here you can see then just a couple of laps to go. Mitchell De Jong running himself in P number 4, Martin Kroenke in P number 5. As we have a look then on board with Mitchell De Jong, 2 laps of this race to go. As you can see, a lot of traffic for these two Koanda SimSports drivers to get through in the last couple of laps of this event. Carla and Sturgis, that one, well, it remains as it is for the time being, and Philo has kind of bridged that gap as well. It still remains at about 1 second as they head themselves down the hill. And well, Rachel, this mid-pack P9, P10, P11, they've just got themselves now 2 more laps to duke it out.
Yes, and this will come down to the wire. Well, it's going to be a very exciting finish this race in certain positions. Not for first place, of course, but down to the mid-pack it will be. I don't think it will happen between the Koanda guys, but certainly going to get interesting there between Sturgios and Carla, because they are still very, very close.
Yeah, they can have a look at Mugar Philo as he works himself onto his 68th lap around this Phillip Island racetrack, and they can see the gap. It is still about 1 second. So Philo, for the time being, is holding on 1.5 laps to go for them. But for Alexei Usiakola, he works himself towards start-finish line. He will see the white flag this time by. There is 1 more lap remaining, as they can see. Down in towards turn number 1 comes Alexei Usiakola. Now, he has led a total of 61 laps, and that last lap he did, a 186.597, less than a tenth of a second slower than his fast lap of the day. So he is showing no signs of abating as he works himself down in towards turn number 4 for the final time here today. And well, Alexei Usiakola, he won 1 round of the 2014 iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. He's known by the fans as Dracula, and for years people have been saying that he can go toe to toe with some of the best in the business, and he's proved that over the first 2 rounds of the season. Down into Lukey Heights he comes for the final time, down the drop in towards turn number 10. Just a couple of corners now remaining for the driver of Alexei Usiakola. He heads himself out the final corner, and it's going to be back-to-back victories for Team Redline. It's going to be back-to-back victories for Alexei Usiakola as he claims victory in the 2nd round of the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. Gregor Hutu coming past the line, he will take 2nd place. Hugo Louise coming past the line in 3rd, and it will be Mitchell De Jong and Martin Kroenke rounding out your top 4 here. Kroenke was close on that final lap, wasn't able though to get past his teammate. Benito in 6th, Bacana 7th, Borgia in 8th, Philo in 9th, and Tommaso Carla rounding out your top 10. It's mighty close in this mid-pack though. We've still got potentially a moment for action as we ride on board with Jake Sturgis. Down to the final corner. He's not going to be close enough. It'll be Philo from Cardiff, from Sturgis, from Friscops, P number 9 through P number 12, Rach.
It will be indeed, and we thought something might happen there, but it didn't in the end. So, well, one great big battle that just didn't pan out quite as much, and unfortunate there. So what a race though, Will. Really exciting. We had some early incidents, but fun, clean racing, and, well, another Redline victory. Hutu on the podium, Hugo on the podium, and 3rd, 4th and 5th for Koanda, which is big points.
Yep, so there we are. A look then at your race winner, Alexei Usiakola, winning the first 2 rounds of the iWCGPS World Championship Grand Prix Series. And here is a look at your final race results. Alexei Usiakola then claiming victory from Gregor Hutu by a total time of 4.9 seconds. Hugo Louise in 3rd, Mitchell De Jong in 4th, and Martin Kroenke running out your top 5. Enzo Benito in 6th, Oliver Carla 7th, Andre Borgia in 8th, Mogar Philo in 9th, and Tommaso Carla rounding out your top 10. As we had a look back, you can see it's Sturgis in 11th, Friscops in 12th, Abe in 13th, Job in 14th, Antoine Hegelin, Isaac Price, of course, he did a 1-stop here, the only 1-stopper in the race, Ilko Parla, Paul Lilbrink, Dion Verges and Miguel Martin rounding out your top 20. And then is look at your final pages there, P number 21 through 30, and finally the final runners in this race. Richard Avery out in the very early going. Paolo Mulia, David Cobbs, Marta Piatella, and Joey Bootsloop also classified as out of the race. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll step aside for a couple of moments. We'll be back with more discussion and post-race interviews after these messages. You're watching RaceSpotTV, home of the 2015 iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series, the iRacing.com Endurance Series, and also the 2015 iRacing.com Indianapolis 500. We'll be right back.
the outside, contact made, 56 slides it at a 4, who's going to be at the stripe, dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceSpotTV for post-race interviews of the second round of the 2015 iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. Alexei Usiakola makes it 2 wins on the trot in his team Redline car, and he is stood by with the one and only Ms. Rachel Whiteford.
They are indeed, and I'm here with Alexei, of course. Started on pole. You took the victory today, but tell us about your qualifying first. Of course, you had a bit of a mistake on your first lap, and second lap, no fear, straight at it, pole. How was that for you?
Well, thanks to all, first of all, and yeah, it's tough qualifying here in Phillip Island because you have only basically one lap. If you take, if you wanna gamble, kinda, and if you drive it safe, you will take 2 laps of fuel, and it is a little bit slower, but then you actually will get at least 1 lap. Well, my first lap was I pushed it too hard, and then I spun, and then I just cleared my mind and thought that, well, now just clean lap and was a clean lap.
Of course, and you started the race on the pole position with that lap, and you led from the off, apart from in the pit cycle. You did the same thing at Interlagos. How are you going so fast?
Well, we did a great job with the team after the new build. It came on Wednesday, so we had only 3 days basically to make a setups and find how the car works. And everything went kinda like easily. We just got the car pretty fast to the speed, and then basically it was again everything about the start, because you just need to get the pole and then you need to get a good start, because even with this new draft model it's kinda hard to overtake. It's easier to follow close, but still even this track is so hard to overtake. So I got a good launch on the start, and after that I just my first 2 stints were just amazing. It was even faster than I did on the practice. So yeah, it went pretty good. Third stint was kind of bad. Had some traffic and lost my concentration. So Gregor cuts me like 3 seconds, but who cares? It's just a couple seconds.
Indeed, and of course you took the victory here today with an amazing race. Are you hoping to bring the same sort of performance to next week at Sebring, or next race at Sebring I should say?
Well, I haven't raced in Sebring like many years with this car, so will be kind of a challenge for us, but we'll see. We will try our best and see how our car will manage. And I will want to thank my teammates for great support, my team, and of course our sponsors Fanatec and OKO. Thanks to everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you very much, and that was of course Alexei Siakoly, your victor here today. Ollie Bakara, not as good a race for you for the Red Lion team. Tell me about your race.
Yeah, I had a pretty stable race. I've never been fast in the Phillip Island, and yeah, semi-okay qualifying, and this race was at the beginning it was quite fun to battle with the guys, chasing Jeremy and try to push him a bit, but then we had a nice 3-wide situation, but yeah, I'm still occurring massive stuttering, so it's pretty difficult to push like guys are doing, but yeah, overall pretty happy. Of course, if you don't win, you're not happy if you're a Finn, but
Of course, and Team Red Lion, not a good start this season for both of you, and hopefully this could well be your season. Will?
okay, Alexi was slower one, so and thanks to Fanatec and Nokia for the support, ja ei siinä mitään, meikällä oli ihan semi-ok kisa, ei ollut suuret odotukset, että pätkii tuo peli ihan jumalattomasti, että tosi hankala ajaa, mutta sai vähän 3-wide situationia ja pikkusen kisaa ajaa tossa pari ekan stintin aikana, mutta eipä siinä mitään. Sebringiin ja koitetaan korjata koneita päässä Aleksin vauhtiin. Kiitos tiimille, thanks for the team, awesome effort, and onneksi olkoon Aleksille aivan täysin ansaittu voitto, uskomaton vauhti kaveri.
Joo, no kiitoksia Ollille ja tietysti tiimille, ja kaikkihan meni tänään ihan putkeen, niin kuin meni 2 viikkoa sittenkin, että ei olisi voinut paremmin taas mennä. Mutta joo, yritetään taas pari viikon päästä uudestaan ja sitten samanlaista tulosta vaan lisää. Eikä siinä, kai sitä täytyy lähteä tänään illalla jonnekin päin vähän juhlistamaan, ja kiitoksia kaikille, ja katsokaa jatkossakin näitä lähetyksiä, että jos Sim Racing on uusi laji, niin tää on tämmöstä. Moikka!
not indeed, and of course, well, you know, Hugo, of course, works for RaceSpotTV as well, and he's very busy setting up our next races. Of course, we have Gathering of Tweakers tonight, and we also have the Skip Barber 2K Cup Week 13 elimination race. But Hugo, of course, finishing third, top car from Coanda, good run from them. Hugo says, well, if he didn't have to use his clutch pedal to steer with, he probably would have won the race, beating everybody easily. So, great, big confidence there from Hugo Luis. Of course, he always knows he's incredibly fast, and he just drives with one hand, so everyone else has a chance. He's going to kill me for this, but there we go.
The Eliminator! Coming later on RaceSpotTV. And ladies and gentlemen, that is all we have time for here for the second round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. You can hear the music. Tomorrow, it's Neo time for the final round of the Neo Endurance Series here on RaceSpotTV. As well as being your home for some of the biggest open wheel races in the world, we're also your home for some of the biggest endurance events in the world as well. Don't forget, in 2 weeks' time, it's a double-header here on RaceSpotTV. Coverage from Sebring of the third round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. And Rachel and I will be doing coverage of the iRacing 12 hours of Sebring. So we'll leave you in the very capable hands of Johnny Simon and his team for the third round of the championship. This has been a RaceSpotTV presentation here of the second round of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series from Phillip Island, where once again it is the driver of Alexei UC Yakola heading himself to iRacing.com victory lane. Myself, Will Vincent, and Rachel Whiteford, and the entire team here from iRacing and RaceSpotTV, thank you very much for being part of our broadcast on iRacing Live and RaceSpotTV, and we shall talk to you next time. Bye-bye. Cars are lined up on the grid. The iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn one for the first time.